I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now we don't want to live in the equator, but, you know.
We've got a full complement of Chris's now.
We do.
Whoa.
Hooray.
Look at that beard.
My QuickTime setup.
QuickTime.
Now we're recording. Always fails the first time and then does the second just fine. Don't know why that's the pattern we have to follow, but it is.
Clear one out of the chamber first.
Apparently. Apparently. As long as the second one works, that's all that matters.
Hello and welcome back to RTFB. This is Travis, and today other Chris, and I are finally shaking off our winter break and are ready to get into our next book. This season, we're reading Kindred by Octavia Butler, and I just want to jump directly to the end and say we all really loved reading this fucking book. So if you don't have it in hand yet, as soon as this gets done, run to your library or local bookstore and get involved. I don't even want to hold you up any longer than it takes to listen to this episode. So let's get back to my conversation with the Chris's right the F now. Yeah, side note, every time I've taken them on go-karts, there is always a catastrophic crash.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't train you how to use brakes. They just yell brakes.
That's
the people who work there, they just yell brakes and expect kids who haven't driven to know what that means. And so there's always at least one kid coming into pit. It's like, smacks right into someone full speed. Nice. Always. And it's not always my kids, it's always a kid, though.
A kid?
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't think I went on go-karts before I knew how to drive.
Yeah.
Happenstance, it just didn't happen. So then I was like, oh, cool, I know how to do this.
Yeah, that was the same thing for me. I think the first time I actually rode on a go-kart, it was like, I think they had two sets of go-karts, and there was one that you could only ride if you were 16 or over.
Oh, yeah.
Usually on the more complicated track.
And so I only was able to do that one. I never did the ones for the younger kids.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Well, they're fun, but my kids are like, how come you don't want to drive every time we do it? I'm like, A, whiplash. And B, it's a little less fun when you have an actual car.
It is.
Yeah.
A little less.
Have to agree.
Yeah. Like, mine goes way faster than this. And wherever I want it to go.
Right.
Exactly.
It doesn't recover as well from crashes, though. So
that's true. That's true.
I guess there's that.
But maybe if you had a big springy bumper around it, it would be a little better off.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe. You might be onto something.
Yeah.
Big springy bumpers for cars.
Yeah. No. I'm thinking about like do the bumper car thing, but with full size cars, right? Like basically have like a demolition derby that you can just like ride like a carnival ride.
I think that's a fine idea.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yep. No
just sign a lot of waivers, get the harnesses and stuff. You'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Or it won't. Or it won't.
But hey, if you signed the waiver, you knew that going in, right?
Exactly. It's all your fault now.
Yep. You definitely understood all of the consequences when you signed the waiver.
Right, because humans are so good at that.
It was definitely fully explained to you.
Totally.
And you had plenty of time to read every word of it.
Yeah.
Just like those carnival rides.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't go on those carnival rides. Any ride that can be in a different state the next day, I don't ride. I just don't do it.
Some of them are okay, but others I would not.
Nope.
It just depends on the carnival, really.
Don't trust it. Don't trust it. I also noticed that the top of Reddit on All Today was a post from the Kirksville paper.
Oh, yeah?
Talking about how the aquatic center has so much water in it, and they're saying like 120 of these pools would make up the same size as the ocean. No, I think you miscalculated.
No.
I think you don't understand how big the ocean is, guys.
How much water do they think the aquatic center has?
How deep is the pool in that place?
Yeah, I never went, so I never got to find out.
I didn't either. I drove by it 100 times, but I never went.
I always wanted to go, but I never did.
It could be the center of the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think someone mentioned they mistook like gallons for cubic kilometers of water.
Oh.
They're like, yeah, if a gallon is a cubic kilometer, then maybe, but no, you're still orders of magnitude wrong.
Ooh, yeah.
Good old Kirksville.
Yeah.
I just laughed though because one of the top comments was like, "This was written by someone at Pancake City at 3 a.m."
Ah, nice. Somebody knows. Someone else knows the secrets of Kirksville.
That's where you go.
Yep, and that's
to
the time
avoid
to do
studying.
It. Yep.
To write a shitty paper and turn them in.
I would say I wrote most of my paper about medieval fart jokes there.
Oh, yeah.
So, from my Chaucer class. So
stick your ass on this wheel and divide your fart equally among all your friends. Something like that. I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, that was some stuff that I looked up. On the whole, the gist was it was a safe form to ridicule superiors and stuff like that.
Yes, I remember your thesis being fart jokes are always funny.
Yes.
Even in medieval times.
They've never not been funny. It's true.
My favorite teacher, my senior year English teacher, told us at the end of the year, he said, "Gentlemen, I don't care what anyone tells you, farts will always be funny."
Yep.
And that is an ethos I took to heart.
Yep.
So, Mr. Seward, if you ever find this podcast, I still think of your wisdom every day.
We're so sorry.
I think I just read in the Alumni News he just retired, so...
Oh, wow.
It's like, good for him.
Congrats.
Yeah.
And congratulations for reading the Alumni newspaper. I just throw it out.
Oh, the one they send us isn't always great, but the email, we get an email too.
Oh.
So the email has the juicier bits. Now, we used to have like 2 magazines. We had one just for the alumni, which was called Estovere, which was our school motto.
What?
And then one that was for the parents.
Estovere?
Then
I've never heard that before.
To be a man, or be a man.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
So our
Catholic schools have Latin mottos.
We stole our model from Mulan.
No. Chaminade has had it longer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about Chaminade. Okay, Chaminade's motto. I thought we were still talking about Truman.
No, Chaminade.
Okay, I'm with you now. Sorry.
Truman, I don't know what. I remember there's probably there's it was the state of Missouri, so who knows?
Yeah.
I'd have to look on our diploma. But Chaminade, so then they combined them like 8 years after I graduated. So now we get like half of it is shit that only parents would care about. And the other half is like actual relevant to alumni. But they keep cutting back on stuff. Like, I got really mad. I wanted to just send them shit like... It used to be we could just send an email to like update stuff, put it in the alumni newsletter about updates about us.
Yeah.
Well, then they changed it. Like, you have to submit things, and like if you're posting a death notice, you have to send like a copy of the notice in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, not everybody does that, folks, because I didn't have one for my uncle or my cousin. Yeah, and it costs money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would like to let the community know that my grandmother died like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And my uncle, who was an alumni, died 4 years ago. And my cousin died. But I'm not going to go through that whole rigmarole and call up the office and be like, I don't have shit for that. Just put it in there. Yeah. Like, it should be easy still. Like, just here, email us with this headline and we'll put it in. I'm like, what are you doing? You're making sure that people disengage. And I heard they got rid of the best perk alumni have that nobody used anyways, except for me a few times, is we were supposed to get free lunch for life. After graduating. And we had that for like 15 years. Like, and I did. The few times I went back, I went to see Mr. Smith. He also just retired, so I probably won't be going back anymore. Oh. And we got free lunch. Free lunch.
Oh. What the hell?
It was like, but nobody used it, but they got rid of it. I'm like, guys, this costs you like maybe $100 a year, because like nobody's going back and eating their free lunch. So like, why'd you get rid of it?
Except for the one guy who went every day.
Yeah. Well, that was my solution. I'm like, if I ever become homeless or something, as long as school's open, I can at least get lunch. I can probably get breakfast too.
Yeah.
Just use my alumni benefit, and then maybe ask if I could go use a shower in the gym or something.
Don't ask, just do it.
But they got rid of it. I'm like, you guys, like, what is the incentive to be connected to my school? Yeah, they would be. Like, I just wear my class ring. It fits again. I'm like, look, I went here. Long ass time ago. You weren't even born yet, so don't worry about it.
You just find an empty classroom and sit down at the desk. Mm-hmm. Like, yep.
You're auditing the. Bring a notebook and just.
Yeah, I'm
nod along with the teacher and scribble notes every once in a while.
So that would put me out of place because all the kids have laptops and shit. So they're like, "Who's this guy with the notebook, paper?" Yeah, I'm like, you guys are getting rid of any reason of why I would come here, like to see the school as as someone who graduated. Because the rest of the time they're like, "Well, hey, we have like a little party in the beginning of the year for all the alumni. See, we like you guys. Here's a barbecue and like come to the football game. That's it. We don't even organize your reunions. You have to do that."
Yeah.
So I'm like, we all paid you guys like tens of thousands of dollars every year for 6 years. Like, and that's all you can do. Like, you wonder why you have like minimal alumni.
Yeah.
Like people at your school. Like, come on.
Right.
Making it harder just to engage with the school, and then we just don't.
Yeah. That's basically all the communication I get from Truman either as an alumni. Is like, don't you want to give us more money?
I get the magazine every now and then.
Again, I throw it out.
But I like to read it, see what's going on at Truman.
Yeah.
All of the alumni communications for Rolla are like, hey, check out all of the interesting research that all of our professors are doing.
Wow.
Oh, yeah? That's actually kind of useful.
They're like, hey, check out our explosives guy who's doing explosive stuff.
Yeah.
Or, hey, check out our professor who's working on moon mining problems.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
It's like, oh, I contributed to that way back in the day. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Like other random like materials stuff. Like apparently a lot of material science.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of interesting shit in that space.
Neat.
I wish they did that at UMSL for school social work.
Yeah.
They all do research on relevant social work topics. I'd like to know what they're up to, but they don't. Every now and then I get hey, we're offering this course thing for CEUs if you want to do it. I'm like, I don't live there.
Does the department have Does the department have a pink sheet?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because in the math department they used to have a pink sheet. I don't know if they still do, but it was basically a list of all of the seminars. Basically, all of the professors who were doing research, they'd have seminar each week.
Oh, that's neat.
Where they would discuss in different groups like their ongoing research, and so they'd have a pink sheet that was a schedule of all of the different seminars and what they were going to be discussing that week.
I would imagine if they had something like that now, it would only be there though, so I would not see it or hear about it. So it's unfortunate.
Maybe they live stream some of them.
I don't know. They don't tell me anything, so who knows? Who knows?
Maybe they have a Twitch channel.
That would be great.
Right?
They could do a Let's Play on their social work. Or whatever.
Yep.
Did you guys see any good movies over the winter break?
I didn't go out to see any.
But did you see them still?
We did watch the Glass Onion movie last week.
Ooh, I like that
was pretty
so
good.
much.
Yeah, did we talk about that already or no?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, we saw that one too. Yeah.
Ooh,
and
it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you liked Knives Out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's more of that.
Yep.
And it's very good.
It is very, very good.
See if you agree with me here. Best character, Dave Bautista's mom. Casually solving their puzzle box from the other room without even looking at it.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that is moms, right?
Yep.
You know?
Thought it was really, really good. And yes, very thoughtfully crafted as well.
Oh yes, extremely.
Which I've come to expect from these now. Like, not only a decent mystery thing, but the whole analogy of the fugue and layering back on it, the melody on itself to have a different meaning. I'm like, smart.
Yep.
I wish I was smart. Like some people are smart.
Yeah.
That was really good. Did you see the Avatar on the exact opposite end of the spectrum of smart?
No, because it's 3+ hours long.
We went and
it's
saw
hard
that.
to really find time, and like I would like to see it, but it's a commitment.
Yeah, it is.
And I just haven't made it yet.
It is.
You know, it looks good. It's made like half its budget back already.
Yeah.
So
made all the money. I think my kids had the right idea. They're like, we went to the thing in Disney World and that was better. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to deal with this shitty story. And it was like in actual 3D.
Right.
So Levi didn't even go. Just Simon's like, I guess I'll go see it, whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that picture. It's like he's just here for the popcorn, for the snacks.
Like, he was interested.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because usually when we do movies at home, he's like, "You guys watch it. I'm staying downstairs. I don't care what you're seeing."
Too independent now.
Yeah. Well, we also saw Babylon, which I thought was really good.
Oh yeah,
that was also like 3 hours long, and you felt it. Yeah. It was like, I think I told Danielle, it's like that one episode of Futurama where Zoidberg's uncle makes a movie. He's like, put more shit in this. Could somebody be throwing a pie in this scene? Like, what?
Right.
Let's keep adding to it. But mostly I thought it was really good. The ending was weird to me. Like, they could have cut the whole ending off and been like, okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And it oddly had Avatar in it anyway. Not really a spoiler, but there is kind of like a montage at the end that, like, okay. Thought it was weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thought it was weird. Yeah.
That seems to be the general consensus I've heard from those who have seen it. Just that was weird.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm like, every single minute of it, I'm like, this is pretty good. But when you put it all together, I'm like, but something needs to get cut out of it. I don't know what it would be, but something needs to come out of it. But best Tobey Maguire movie I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
He was pretty awesome.
That was the intriguing looking part from the commercials I saw was Tobey Maguire's character.
And soundtrack was awesome too.
Cool. Well, someday I'll probably watch it.
Yeah.
But
it'd be a great one to be able to pause and like walk away from.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought about it.
Yeah. I you know, like everything I've seen of that movie, like I feel like I'm never going to be in the mood to watch it.
What, you don't want to relive the time when the movies went to having sound?
No,
old school Hollywood filming out.
Others do it better.
I'll just
others do homages better.
I'll watch Singing in the Rain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, that's what we discovered it was about. Basically, it was like a retelling of that story because they even like have homages to specific parts of Singing in the Rain in the movie. So
yeah.
But if you wanted like the dark, gritty version, then you could watch Babylon instead.
I want to see when it comes out because I keep seeing the trailers on YouTube. That Renfield movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That looks
trailer. That is
hilarious.
Nicolas Cage.
And Nick Cage is Dracula. Like that's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, and now you'll understand all the references too.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. I read that book once.
Right?
You can say.
Still glad I read it.
Yep. This is also not... It was kind of on the cusp of the holiday break, but we also saw The Menu.
Oh yeah, we just watched that the other night.
Which was awesome.
Yeah,
I
enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah. I thought it was a great... Not only just a good movie on its surface, but I thought the message I took away from it being like, would you fuckers just like stop?
Yeah, right?
Could you just
seriously
stop? Especially the guy who was like the foodie.
Yeah.
The foodie boyfriend. When they made him like, well, you try cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was one of my absolute favorite jokes in the movie is you know when they're presenting the dishes.
Yeah.
And giving the short little description of it.
Yeah.
And like they show the thing he made and it just says like Tyler's bullshit.
Yes. Yeah, it was so good.
Sounds great.
Yeah. The audience we saw it with wasn't so great, so I felt like a jackass being the only one laughing at some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They caught up with it eventually.
That's good.
So, yes, I think that's on HBO Max now, so go see that.
It is. Yeah.
Really good. Anyway. So we got a book, right?
We do.
Yeah. And like, I'll throw out here, I've been trying to avoid as many spoilers as possible for this.
Same.
But other Chris, you've read this before, right?
I have.
Okay. So don't spoil us, all right?
Okay. I'll do my best.
So I vaguely am aware there's time travel here.
Yes.
Between like the 70s.
Right.
And
when it
like
came
the
out.
Civil War era. So the question for you both is, if you could time travel to visit a prior generation of your family, who would it be and when would that be?
That's tough.
It is tough, so I'll give you a
torn
second.
Between going back to when my like grandparents were born, so meeting the great grandparents and seeing them as like babies, or going super far back, picking one branch and going back to the pilgrim ancestor and be like, why did you come to the New World?
Yeah.
So
how dare you?
No, I'll just be like, what's it like living in this time and place that you'd be compelled to ride in a rickety boat for like 2 months to cross the ocean to come to some place you know zero about.
Right.
That's scary as shit, living on the edge of the forest on the beach.
Yeah.
So, but I think it'd be a little more interesting. Ooh, that'd be fascinating. To go to the when my grandparents were born and kind of see the world and how the family was doing in like the 1920s,
right?
And what it was like for them, and kind of get to know their parents better and see them as little ones.
Yeah.
So get a grasp of that period of their life.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I think. What say you, other Chris?
Man, I mean, it's a very difficult question.
Yeah, and you only choose one. Sorry.
Oh no. Like some of the more interesting stuff that I think is probably in my family history. Like a lot of it's probably pretty violent and unpleasant. So like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, the world used to suck, huh?
It did, depending on the time period.
Kind of the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Everything was worse in the past.
I think it'd be interesting, though, to be on the planet when there's just so few humans.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I said, even if it's 100 years ago, we'd only just hit 2 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that was a lot of people for them. I'm like, that's like so few now.
Right.
Like, what's it like to be in a world like that?
What's it like to be in a world where, like, even the biggest cities are just kind of, like, medium-sized?
Yeah. Like, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Because I always love, like, you go back in time, like, when I was doing all my Cahokia stuff. In Cahokia, in, like, 1200, was one of the biggest cities in the world, and it was 20,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, it's what we consider, like, a smallish town.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Or a small city, really. Not maybe a town, but a small city.
Yeah.
Like, and that was a big city on the world. Not the biggest, but one of the biggest at that time period. Like, the only places you have bigger ones are, like, London was a little bit bigger, and they probably had some in China. You know, everybody else had cleared out because the Roman Empire had fallen, plagues had happened, things like that. You know, so we weren't back up to the millions yet in cities in most of the world.
Right.
But I just can't imagine, like, what would it be like to be on a planet still affected by humans, but just much fewer people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably a lot quieter.
Probably.
And stinkier.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, and like,
if you're in a city, it would be.
And like one of the things that's kind of crazy is again, you know, I always end up taking things back to like Romantic period French literature. And one of the things that was possible at that point in history that's like very difficult now is you could just like fuck off to the wilderness. like there was wilderness to fuck off to.
Yeah, like kind of close by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to go hundreds of miles to find it.
But you know, like Chateaubriand, like did, you know, fuck off to the Americas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Chateaubriand.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like you could leave and there's still all of this untouched stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's harder and harder to find like an area where you're completely out of the sphere of influence of people.
Right. So did you choose?
Oh my god. I think the thing from a historical perspective that would be the most interesting, at least, is like probably Viking ancestors.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I said, that also would probably be like horribly fucking violent. maybe
that's kind of what they're famous for,
like
right?
On a calm day.
I mean, you'd have some stuff, but most of the time too, like they didn't go raiding all the time every year, all parts of the year. Like you just be at home doing farm stuff,
right?
You know, do some festivals,
sacrifice
some animals, you know,
or some people.
But everybody did that, so at one point in time,
some animals, you know,
people were a little more different because I feel like I was reading there was one Viking festival where that could happen, but it only happened like every 8 years.
Yeah.
So it was enough that people would experience it, but it wasn't common. You know, just the raiding got violent. That's just more of a show of force. You know, just like, hey, this is our culture. This is what we do. Like, they're like, man up. Next year, push back. You might win. You know, probably not, but you might.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll respect you for the fight.
Fair play. Shake hands. We respect you.
We took all your gold.
Yep, took all your gold, but that's because you couldn't hold on to it, so, you know.
Leave you a good Yelp review.
Right. This place has great gold.
Yeah. So for me, like, I think it would be interesting, like you're saying, if I went back to, I think it would be my third great-grandfather on my dad's side who moved from England to Canada. I think that would be really cool to go see what that was like when they first got established in Ontario.
Yeah.
Although I think I would probably end up doing my mom's mom, so my great-grandma on my mom's side, since my grandma was adopted and had a sealed adoption, so we don't really know where her actual family's from. So,
interesting.
So that would be an interesting thing to find out. Like,
shit. Can you do some of the genetic testing and get some clues?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
But then I'm lazy as shit, so.
All you gotta do is spit in a tube.
Yeah, but again, I have to order it.
You don't even have to cheek swab anymore. You can just spit in a tube and mail it off.
Yeah. I did do a different genetic test recently, and it wasn't that bad, but I still had to go find a FedEx thing to put it into, and
see, if
even
you
that
get
was
20,
a bit of a hassle.
You just order your 23andMe kit, do they give you everything?
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. It's interesting to do that. Like, I've enjoyed it the years since I've done it. They update their data when they get more of a pool. Yeah. Bigger pool of DNA stuff, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah. I think if you do it like through Ancestry, they'll actually compare you with other people that opt in. And you could find people that you're actually related to instantly.
I did on 23andMe. That's how I didn't really know any of my mom's family cousin, like the Hams and stuff.
Yeah.
And I talked to people I'm related to, and that's how I figured out my great-great-grandfather, who was hopefully going to be providing me with Luxembourg citizenship, had 8 fucking kids.
Wow.
And
prolific.
It was from that I talked to people there, and then I got on Ancestry and found out stuff. So
yeah.
But it was neat because it's all these people like I didn't know, and there's some chickie out in Hollywood, Rebecca Ham, who's married some dude who has cute kids and shit. Like I talked to her a bit about stuff because I'm like, we're all like third cousins.
Yeah.
And she was one of the first links. She's not doesn't have her profile on 23andMe anymore, but she's on Instagram. Oh, so I don't really talk to her that much, but every now and then I'm like, hey, remember me? Like, here's that stuff I meant to send you 3 years ago. Sorry.
Yeah, so I
So you find out stuff like that by doing that.
Yeah. I will throw out one spoiler for this book.
Okay.
And that is that Black people going into their ancestry are not having as pleasant a time thinking about it.
And it's hard to find stuff. Like, I can't find anything like on my dad's side.
Yeah.
That direct male ancestor guy that gave us our Y chromosome, he's Black. Yeah. He was brought over. He was trafficked here. Yeah. Like, and you can't find stuff in our family for the Goenses past a certain point in time.
Yeah.
Because the records weren't good, and since they were mixed families, they were, in some senses, they were free people of color.
Right.
Like, they went through the whole process to become white.
Exactly.
So I'm sure they have deeply buried some of those records and were not too upset when they got, like, destroyed in a fire or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because kids, if you do history now in 8th grade, at least in North Carolina, and you learn about stuff, until a certain point in the 19th century, you could become white.
Right.
From the colonial period up by marrying, you usually start off with free people of color, and you keep marrying each other, lighter skinned people. And then eventually you only have like less than 1/16 of a Black ancestry. And all you had to do was move to a new community, set yourself up as white, and basically, as they described it, is like, and do white people things and be accepted as such by your community, and you were white.
Do white people things.
Yeah, which was, and they had to find it. Like, you set up a business or something like that, or you own your farm, you work it. You're accepted as white, so you can go into white only shops.
Yeah.
And if you vote, and especially once you vote, once you're on the voting records as voting, you're white. Yeah. So
I thought of white people stuff like going to brunch.
That's what it is now. But back until
it's not just going to brunch, but like waiting in line for brunch.
Back until the Civil War, you could do this, and families did do this, and they hid their backgrounds. It was only after that, once we ended slavery and Jim Crow came into being, that's when we did the one drop rule type of customs, and you were stuck as whatever your ancestor was, because they didn't want to. Like, now we had no weapon to keep people down. So they created the American caste system instead. Mm-hmm. And that's when most of the stuff people here think about occurred, because before then it was more changeable, malleable, and whatnot. But yeah, you can't find stuff.
Oh yeah,
and
you can do other white people stuff like rejecting any equality any movement toward equality ever. That's also white people stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting too equal to us. Let's come up with different
families
rules.
did do that. They did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely history of America. Like, we do good things and we do bad things. And that's what people need to remember. That's why even though people joke about the narrative of progress it is, I'm like, no, we do improve over time. It takes us a long ass time, but we have improved very slowly, but it's still better than it was 50 years ago a little bit. Definitely better than things were 100 years ago in those regards. But it's always a struggle, and that's what people forget too. Like, you don't fix things, and it's just fixed forever. You have to keep. It's always an ongoing process.
Fixed forever,
as we've seen.
Sorry,
because people will come up with new ways to be assholes to each other.
No, sorry, it's fixed. We had a Black president. Racism's over.
Yeah.
Right. To all you idiots who believe that, you're fucking wrong. You guys brought racism back with Donald Trump, so there you go.
Just remember, he's only a symptom. He wasn't the cause.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway,
he made things okay again that shouldn't have been made okay publicly.
Yeah. He let them say it out loud.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Anyway, fun times.
Yeah.
Right. So, sorry, guys.
Octavia Butler, right?
Yes.
And like right up front, I'm going to apologize for all the times I accidentally say Octavia Spencer. Like, that's just
oh my God.
That's just how I'm sorry. I can't help it. This is how my brain is
like
now.
Butler-san.
Like Butler-san. So what's everyone's background with her? Obviously, Chris has read before.
Yep.
And is a fan.
I am.
Regular Chris, have you had any experience yet?
She has always been kind of floating around for me. Mm-hmm. And I've read most of that Parable of the Sower graphic novel I have.
Okay.
Which was pretty good.
Nice.
But she's always been on that. I don't know enough about her works list, and I'm always sorry for that because the few things I have read of hers are just like pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are things that I'm like, everybody needs to know this.
Yeah.
So,
no, she
has a great life story, and she was a very fascinating person. And I just wish I knew more of her and about her while she's still alive. You know.
Yep.
Have been a little bit of a fanboy, maybe. Probably would have had a good chance of actually getting to see her in person.
Right.
Oh yeah.
At an event somewhere.
Yep.
So just kind of like feeling like I missed out on someone really great.
Right.
Yeah. She had a really like no nonsense personality. So like interviews with her were always interesting in that regard. Like she spoke her mind, as you would expect.
Yeah.
And in terms of all of her work, like she didn't shy away from difficult topics, as you're going to see. But like just some other examples, I guess, talking about like fledgling, say, how it kind of indirectly deals with the sexualization of girls.
Yeah.
And thinking about the Lilith series. I cannot remember for the life of me the actual the name of the series, but
Xenogenesis.
Xenogenesis, thank you. Yeah, so
thank you, OctaviaButler.com. I have open on my other window.
Yeah, so the Xenogenesis series dealing with like the human relationship to sexuality and like how it actually works in terms of psychology and genetics and like all of this. Basically, that has this really deep thing in the first book, at least. The main sort of conflict in that book is about like sex addiction and like the betrayal of your species almost.
Wow.
And like what is it like to be put into a position where essentially your choices are to lose your humanity or have the entirety of your species die.
Oh geez.
Yeah. So which way do you go with that? Like, do you just up and like let it go?
Yeah.
Or do you? And the thing is that like the way they set it up is like the part where you lose your humanity actually feels incredible.
Oh.
So
uh-oh.
Yeah. So which one is it going to be? Is it going to be like the really difficult decision of like, no, I want to maintain my identity, or are you going to get addicted to alien sex and turn into something else? It is
a tough question.
Yeah.
It's a conundrum.
Especially if it feels so great to give up your humanity.
Yeah. And like, it follows like a few different characters that are in the same situation and like how they all respond to this.
Yeah.
And
sounds interesting.
It's really different, and it's really like, oh man, it's one of her deeper things, I think, that book.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Very cool.
But she deals with difficult topics. We'll leave it there.
Yes. Very much so.
Right. So I'm more in the camp with you, Chris, that she's been on my to be read list. God damn it. My to read list for a long time. And I've just not quite gotten around to it, but I've been interested. But I didn't realize that she only died in like 2006, so
yeah, she died the same year that my
not
mom
terribly long ago.
Right.
And yeah, that's what I was saying. Like she was born in 47, so she's only like slightly older than my parents.
Yeah, same for me. She's only a couple years older than my mom.
Yeah, and was not very old when she passed. So
yeah.
In my research, I found out she was the first science fiction writer to be a MacArthur Fellow.
Yeah,
so that's pretty sweet.
It is. Yeah.
Yep. She was born in Pasadena and raised by her mother. And actually, like, she has not only a kick-ass mom who was really supportive, but also her grandma.
Yeah.
Who was born in Louisiana on, like, a plantation situation.
That her ancestors were probably on.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of them, her grandma and her mom, worked really hard to be able to give her an opportunity to follow her passion of being a writer. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It probably
in there influencing her life.
Yeah, and that's also another thing that you have to look at in her books is that the protagonists do tend to be strong Black women.
Yeah,
yes, they do.
And it says a lot about our country and our history that publishers would go out of their way to try and hide this fact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Or that editors would say maybe don't talk so much about the race of your main character.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So even if it isn't mentioned, like it is like I was saying about the Lilith series, the Xenogenesis. I don't know if it's actually mentioned in the book if the main character is Black or not, but she should be assumed to be.
Right.
Like Lilith is definitely a strong Black woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they would go as far as like let's maybe not put the main character on the cover.
Right.
Or yeah, let's just not mention the race of the main character because the vast majority of science fiction readers are, white men.
Yeah.
And we don't want to scare them away. They can't.
No, we're done with that now too. Yeah. We don't have anybody going on like Twitter and talking about making characters Black or women.
God damn it.
We're fine with that now.
Oh my god.
God damn.
For those of you far in the future who know us by our masturbatoriums, that's an example of early 21st century sarcasm there. It was very much a problem.
If you found
especially on Twitter.
Because you saw our picture in your masturbatorium.
Right.
Decided to look us up.
Yeah, and if Elon Musk has destroyed Twitter, Twitter is a platform where
don't look it up, don't resurrect it, you don't need it.
Don't do it. You don't need it. It was a big mistake.
It was.
God damn it.
So yeah, they talked about how she would have to go with her mom during her cleaning jobs into a bunch of different homes at a time where, segregation was a big deal. So we had to see into other people's lives basically doing that.
Yeah.
And how she was a voracious reader of sci-fi from a very young age. But noticed like not many women in these.
Right.
And like we'll say a simplistic understanding of race.
Right.
And what that means. So she, as young as 10, asked for a typewriter from her mom so she could start writing. And like I said, her mom was really encouraging to her at a young age. Like, yeah, keep at this. You could be a writer. And she's like, what? I can actually do that as a job? But
you can. It's difficult, but it's possible.
They did mention that her aunt was like, Negroes can't be writers, though. Like, her mom was like, fuck that.
Can't they?
Yikes.
I understand society preventing, but that doesn't mean they can't do it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to trailblaze, so...
Yeah. But her mom, like I said, used rent money to get her work sent to editors and publishers, and even took some money she was going to have for medical procedures so she could go to writers' workshops and stuff. So, pretty awesome.
It is awesome. That is true sacrifice there.
Absolutely. So, she was first published in 1971 in a couple of different anthologies, both for the Clarion Workshop that her mom sent her to, and Harlan Ellison's anthologies.
Yep. A couple of the short stories in the collection I have are from that.
Yeah. It's pretty serious. Harlan Ellison is a big deal.
Yeah.
And would have been like a and the thing is that like I'm pretty sure Harlan Ellison is like a huge dick. So it's like
yeah, it says something.
Noted asshole. Harlan Ellison even liked it. Yeah. So she was like, I'm on my way. I'm going to be a writer. And then it was 5 more years before she ever got anything else published.
Yeah.
Which was her first novel, Pattern Master, which I guess is a series as well.
Yep, it is.
Yep. And so she wrote something like 15 novels and even had 4 more unfinished books, like kind of in the kitty when she passed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably the most well-known ones are, like you mentioned, Parable of the Sower.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, Kindred.
Mm-hmm.
But it was noted that she struggled with depression and writer's block in her later years because of the medication she was on for high blood pressure. So that's probably why there were 4 unfinished books at the end. But
and personal loss.
I thought it was kind of weird that they, in Wikipedia at least, spent a lot of time talking about how she died and whether it was like a stroke or a fall and a head injury or a stroke that caused a fall and a head injury. I'm like,
all of the above are possible.
It's a lot of column inches on that, guys, but...
Oh, well, I don't know.
Right.
I didn't look at the Wikipedia one.
One or other or both are what caused that.
Well, I'm guessing maybe there was no autopsy, so...
I don't know.
Because you don't have to do that. We never did it for Mom.
Yeah.
We didn't think we needed to, so...
Right. Probably wasn't like a conspiracy murder or anything, but...
No.
She left all of her correspondences to the Huntington Library, which you can still go and see, so...
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Maybe someday I'll do that.
Pretty cool. So this book was published in 1979, and like I said, is about a woman who's time jumping from the 70s back to pre-Civil War America. There's a mention that she was inspired to write this when some young man commented on how much he hated the older generation of African Americans because they were so complicit and like just gave up and became slaves. And she's like,
how that works.
Hey, idiot, why don't you go back there and try to handle it? Like, come on.
Yeah.
What are you going to do if you have to go back?
Like, you're talking about generations of people who've been terrorized their entire life, treated as literal subhumans.
Yeah.
Beaten
Not the kind of thing where you just be like, oh, actually, I have a note from my doctor that I can't be a slave.
Yeah, like, at that point, just surviving is the biggest FU you can give to a system like that.
Right.
That you made it longer than they were going to let you live type of deal.
Right.
You know, and try to escape if you can, but, like, you don't think about it. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, you should watch 12 Years a Slave, because it'll really drive home the sheer horror and terror of living under that system.
Right.
So... like, it's not something we today can really comprehend, for better or worse, because we don't have anything like that we experience, thankfully. And
are you listening, Kanye?
Yeah, like, you can't really say that about people back then.
Right.
Just trying to exist under that, and they did do whatever they could at any moment to like sabotage the system.
Yeah.
And things like that, or like work a little slower if they could, like just to make shit give a little more breathing room just for being.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
and another like fine point, I guess, speaking to that is like white people saying, oh, if I existed back then, surely I would have been an abolitionist.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Sorry.
Like, you may not have hated black people vehemently, but you would not, chances are you would not have been you just would have not even thought about it. You wouldn't
have risked your life and your reputation.
That's why it was so radical to be an abolitionist.
Right.
Yeah.
Because most people weren't doing it.
So
they might not be like, I'm going to buy a slave. They're like, whatever, let people want to do that, that's fine.
Right.
You know, doesn't affect me over here in Nebraska or wherever.
Yeah, look at people now who are like, I don't want you to even teach about slavery in school because that hurts my fee-fees.
Oh, my good, your fee-fees should get hurt.
Yeah.
We need to understand that we did this.
Or being like, I'm not racist because I've never called anyone the N-word. I'm like,
great, you shouldn't.
That's kind of the bare minimum, but okay.
Yeah, basically. Like, but do you say things like, "Oh, we don't want certain elements moving into our neighborhood"?
Right.
Like, that's racist, kids. Yeah. And it's okay if you didn't know that growing up hearing that, but you know it now. So
yeah.
'Cause I heard people talk like that when I was a kid. I didn't really know think about it much, but now I know. Yeah. You know? It was code, guys. Well, I'm sure coded ways to keep talking about it.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who have a relative that's like, oh, a lot of blacks in this neighborhood.
Yep. Mine was, oh my God. Lived in Rochester, and mine was, there's too many Arabs here now.
Like, they live everywhere, guys. Like,
things like that. Like, yeah, it happens. It's more subtle, but I'm like, well, that's why, folks, St. Louis doesn't have a Metrolink going out west.
Yeah.
Through the county, because they didn't want certain elements
coming in.
Criminals being able to ride in and steal their TVs and walk on the Metrolink with them and take them back. So
I always thought that argument was very funny.
It's hilarious because
you're just gonna sit on the Metrolink for like 18 stops with a TV under your arm.
Yeah, and no one's gonna say anything or stop you. Or when the cop gets on to check shit, they're not gonna ask you about it. Like, come on.
Yeah. We don't want to make it easy to get into our neighborhood.
Yeah, but then we're gonna complain too. But then we're going to complain too when the people we're paying to come mow our lawns and clean our houses can't get here on time because it takes 2.5 hours to ride the bus out there.
Yeah.
Oh, so. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Anyway.
That kids is systemic racism.
Yeah.
Even if you're not directly involved in doing shit.
Whoa, wait, hold
that's
on.
What that is.
Are you talking about critical race theory? Because, like, I can't have that.
No.
I can't hear that.
I'm not.
Sorry.
Critical race theory is a very specific judicial theory taught in law school.
No, sorry.
This is about systemic racism and systems that keep things going. Even if the people involved in them aren't directly doing it, the way it's been set up for generations and has operated continues these things regardless.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry, I misspoke. You're being woke when you're talking about racial inequity.
God damn it.
Now you're woke. Sorry.
Can we stop saying woke?
You go woke, you go broke, guys.
No, I'm done.
So
we're
broke
word.
now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm okay.
Yeah, okay.
Again, future, these are incredibly stupid debates we have to have right now.
Yeah.
So, in 2023 America.
Calling it a debate is generous.
It's not even a debate. That is pretty generous.
It's just stupid people having stupid tantrums.
It's just clowns showing up at school board meetings shouting about nonsense.
Yeah.
So...
I just thought of literal clowns.
Yeah.
That would make it better. That would improve it.
Basically the same thing.
I think
this book was good.
Yeah. Apparently it was very...
A good critical reception.
Yeah.
And sold 450,000 copies. So, well done.
Pretty good for 1979 into the 80s.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So.
And now it's a TV show.
Yeah. It is.
Woo!
First big adaptation that hopefully is doing well. I haven't read anything about it or tried to listen because I don't want to know details, but I hope it does well enough to get more done.
Only thing I know is that it is out already.
Right.
It came out in December on Hulu.
Yep.
And there's 8 episodes, and it covers the first 3 chapters of the book.
They're going to go slow then. Okay. Yep. Well, hopefully they'll make more.
Yeah.
The plan is to make more. But they have not confirmed yet if there's going to be a second season, and what with all the shenanigans and streaming these days, who the hell knows?
Right.
But
Jeff Bezos, pick it up. Make your new Amazon board head pick it up. That's all I can say. Save another show if need be. It might be fine, but if need be, you'd be there in the wings waiting. It'll help rehab your image a little bit.
Yeah. A little.
Just a bit.
If they can afford anything after the Rings of Power, let's go. Let's go.
Yep.
So the book is like not super long, but it doesn't divide exactly in half. So like the place where it would fall into 2 pieces is right in the middle of chapter 4, which is like a fourth of the whole book is chapter 4. So I think we can divide it in 2, but that means the first half is like 100 pages and the second half is like 160. So it'll be a little unequal, but Doesn't seem like the kind you can just cut a chapter in half.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
So
I'll try to make it work.
Reading assignment then is to read through the, third chapter,
okay.
The Fall, and stop when you get to the fight.
Oh.
The fight. Don't read that, though. Don't
read it.
You'll spoil yourself.
Oh my god. I will say this is one that'll keep you reading.
Cool.
So
that is good.
That's what made reading
good.
Electric Sheep so easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's good, except then I'm going to be annoyed when I have to stop.
When you have to stop.
Yeah.
I'll have to pretend.
Just skip ahead a bit. You don't have to tell us.
Yeah.
Just keep going a little while, then you have less to read for the next chunk.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we should mention about this book or this author?
Just that she, due to her writing and characters and stuff, is considered like the founder or a founder of modern Afrofuturism. Which is important for not only science fiction, but other art genres and movies and things like that.
Yeah.
Fair. Very fair.
And it's important stuff to have in a culture.
Yes.
I think. Get other people's stories in there, rooted in other mythologies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Totally agree. The more
it helps me learn about stuff, because I know woefully little about, like, traditional African beliefs and cultures and societies, let alone, like, how the peoples who are part of them now would, like, envision a future for them rooted in those things.
Right.
And I still got, we all got the good history education in school, but it just barely scratched the surface on a lot of those.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, that is a place that I still have, like, big knowledge gaps in. And some of that's on purpose, too, from the hundreds of years of European colonialism. Like, they specifically, essentially buried the history and the archaeology and the discoveries and didn't tout findings and, like, oh, these primitive peoples can't do that, so it must have been Atlanteans or something like that. You know? Seriously, you go into the 19th century, that's some of the stuff, like, for Great Zimbabwe and all those discoveries, they're like, oh, this wasn't these Africans. Couldn't be. Geez. They're primitives. I'm like, but you guys have, like, ruined it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like, it's harder to learn about this stuff because you broke it all up and just, didn't take care of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, big gaps that I wish I didn't have. And I just haven't really bothered to learn about it, and that's on me. Because there's stuff out there, there's books. Like, I've always been interested in, like, Mali, the ancient Mali kingdom. Even in Benin, like, we hear about the return of the Benin bronzes from some of the museums in Europe, which, like, that was just, like, 130 years ago that was done. This whole great culture and civilization destroyed, by the British for colonial reasons and money. And they just totally destroyed their history keeping, because that's what these bronzes were. They represented the kings they had and their history and their development and all that stuff, and they just broke up the displays, didn't record how they were positioned, lost all this knowledge because of that, because that's how since they were more of an oral history culture, that's how they remembered it. It's like you had these bronzes and these artwork as examples to help the storytelling, and just destroyed it all.
Yeah.
So that's something I need to fix.
Well, get on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I was thinking about that as well. Like, we know so much about, like, Egyptian mythology and stuff because they wrote it down, but we didn't really have a method for, well, who cares about recording this oral tradition and stories that way? That's hard.
Right. Yeah, and they're from those primitive peoples, so what do they know?
Right.
Like, a lot, actually.
It's like,
about the place that you're in that you don't know anything about because you're not from there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and really my only background in it is a little bit that I know about Anansi stories.
Mm-hmm.
And even those are really interesting and fun, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really old.
Yeah.
They go back thousands of years.
Yeah.
For different influences and different phases, so.
Right. But that's like I said, barely even scratching the surface, so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yep.
Fun times.
Yes.
Do you guys have anything else that's good that you want to mention?
No, my biggest thing is the recent coin.
Ooh, the coins.
Sent me pictures. All
Let's
that
take this back to our roots. Let's talk about some ancient coins.
Good old Edward VIII. That's not so ancient, but it was fun. I posted that on the coin subreddit, and this other guy's like, "Here's ones I got." He's like, "Very nice. I've got like the other two that exist, other types, because there was a Fiji penny and some other one."
Yeah.
So yeah, there weren't that many colonial pieces that did Edward VIII, but there were a few. Yeah. So, and I have one of the more interesting ones, apparently. The British West Africa.
Yes.
So, but that's fun to get.
With a not Star of David on it.
Correct.
But it looks like one.
Exactly like one, yeah. But that's just because it's the ancient symbol. It's shared throughout the Middle East. So any culture rooted in Middle Eastern culture has it. Yeah. Same with the hand, the stylized hand, because they're called different things. We call them the Khamsa. It's the hand of God, the hand of Fatima, hand of Mary, stuff like that, depending on the more modern pickup of it. But it goes back to like super ancient times.
Yeah.
You know, so it's neat to see how they get carried forward because they're just such an important symbol in that region that as new religions arise, like we'll just fold it into us. Yeah. And then we have it. But yeah, in North Africa, especially on that western end, there's a lot of use of the six-pointed star and other kind of stars.
Right.
And whatnot. So it gets shared around a lot, especially from like Morocco and the Berber areas.
Yeah.
And this stuff, kids, if you don't know your maps, British West Africa is all that stuff south of the Sahara, south of that. So like Nigeria, parts of Ghana, those kind of places. That was where they had that colony originally that then got folded into other ones, but they kept the British West African pound as like a united, like a euro for those colonies.
Yeah.
So in 1936, there was no actual British West Africa. It was just used in like Nigeria and other ones that were part of it at one point in time. So, which I thought was interesting because it's kind of confusing. But I'd have to check on the eastern side because I know there was the British East Africa pound too that I usually associate with Kenya because it was used there, but I would have to check and see if it's used in some of the other ones too, like Uganda and those places. So they don't have to make individual ones for all those countries, just like a grouping of them.
Yeah.
So, but they did that.
It's useful
because I read, especially in the British West Africa case, they were shipping just regular, like pennies and pence and stuff from the UK for a bit, but those kept getting essentially taken out of circulation and sent back to the UK through buying stuff and whatnot, which is what happened in America when we were a colony. We didn't have any coins because they just wouldn't stay here long enough. We weren't allowed to use silver for some strange reason.
What about wooden nickels?
That was in the 19th. So that was out west.
Oh, okay.
But so they've learned that if they make coins that say like the colony it's from or the region, even though it's the same denomination, like stores aren't going to accept that in the UK. So if it got shipped back, it wouldn't be useful.
Right.
So that way it stayed in the colony, and they avoided having the money problems they had earlier with us and earlier colonies who just had no money because whatever little coins we got would immediately get sent back because we bought something. You know, and that's why we used Spanish money, colonial money in our transactions because we just didn't have any British ones. So and they're like, maybe we shouldn't do it that way anymore. I'm like, yeah, not very good for these colonies you're setting up for people to like go live in if they don't have any money.
Yeah.
So, but that was a way to control that, and I'm like, that's an interesting solution.
Yeah,
it makes it fun for collecting because then you have different places to say British what and what, you know. British reflects changes in their
British
history.
What and what.
Yeah. Because some, like South Africa, once they made their coins, always just said South Africa, even though it was like British. Hong Kong was the same. You had the Queen and then the King on one side, and on the back side it had the denomination in Hong Kong in Chinese and English. So interesting coins.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah. So coins. And I don't have any ancient ones yet as of now.
Well, get on it.
Yeah, Jesus.
Well, I'm getting to the point. I'm like, should I save my money, which I probably should, and start getting like the really interesting stuff that I want? Like, I want an Athenian tetradrachm with the owl on it and the Athena on one side. Like, super classic example of coinage.
Yeah.
But they're like $800 for an affordable one.
That's affordable.
So I'm like, I do want to get one. That's just kind of a time and savings commitment to make.
Maybe just go to Greece and start digging.
They generally frown on that. That's like I'm okay to get a permit and dig, but then I have to give it to the government. So I can't keep it. I have to buy one that's already out.
If you find two,
what if
you only found one and turn the one in?
They've got good. I have no way to get it home because they have good screening technology to see through my bags.
What if you buy some land?
You still have to turn it over.
Oh,
you
do?
Buy land for $800?
Probably not.
Oh.
No, you still have to turn over fines. Most of those countries
own a square foot of Greece if you pay $800.
Yeah, most of the countries with antiquities like that, especially in the last 50 to 30 years, changed their laws. Yeah. So anything older than 1500 automatically belongs to the government no matter what.
Wow.
And you have to turn it over or face steep fines or jail time.
I mean, that makes sense.
Right. The British have the most conciliatory system. You still have to report it and turn it over to local, archaeology history department. Yeah. They'll hold on to it for a bit, and they appraise it and whatnot, and then you get the money of the value from the appraisal, or if they have enough, they might just give it back to you and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Yeah.
We don't need it, but they're the most conciliatory one, because they want people... Because I've learned they rely a lot on hobbyists and people out in the countryside to make discoveries. Because usually if you're finding... Because metal detecting is really big. So if you find a few Roman denarii, there's a chance there's a hoard there. So they want you to report, hey, I was out detecting. I found these coins. Here's where it is. And it goes on a list. And then they send people out to investigate later and see if there's a hoard there. Because if there's a hoard there, it's either... someone buried it fleeing a war, or who knows, maybe there's a villa under the ground there. We don't know. Right. So it's a good marker of there's stuff here, and they don't want people to loot it instead, because then you loot it, you destroy all the value and the knowledge.
Exactly.
So they'd rather just people go, hey, look, I found something cool, and report it, and then they get paid for it, or get to keep it, and then they can actually find the actual history that's there and make it benefit the public. Mm-hmm. Italy and Greece trying to do the same thing. Just maybe not as many of the resources because it's Italy and Greece, unfortunately.
Because the British took them all?
No, they're just... I'm sorry, Italy and Greece.
Back in the day,
your governments are terrible. I'm sorry. They just are. My mom even commented on that when she lived in Italy 50 years ago.
There goes your visa application to Greece. Sorry.
No, lovely places, wonderful people, awesome shit to see. Yeah. Greece's government's been better in the last few years, but, I mean... They're just not known for good stability. But that can change. Yeah. That changes. Everyone's different. Everyone goes through different growing pains. So I just don't think they have all the funds and the personnel to, do the same stuff the way the British do. So they just collect it instead before any more damage is done, so to speak.
Gotcha.
But a lot of these governments, then, they will sell the surplus out into the official, coin sales world. Because they're finding new hoards and stuff all the time especially with the Athenian ones, and that's how we get them out, and people are able to buy them and stuff like that.
I guess that makes sense.
And whatnot. So some from Greece and others from places where there were Greek peoples but aren't anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I would like to get one of those just because it's such a classic of coinage.
Yeah, and
so
it sounds
I might
cool.
Start doing that. It does. I might have to start saving up for that, and then I feel look, guys, it's
or alternate suggestion, a heist.
Ooh.
Well, it's not really worth stealing.
We could organize a heist.
They are common. There's enough of them out there to buy that you don't really need to do that.
But it's cheaper to steal it. And you can make a cool movie about it. Just have to find an asshole that no one likes that has one.
Do it.
Yeah. Make a movie about it and then take the prop home. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Take the prop home.
Get the good replica.
There you go.
So
no one will know. I wouldn't know.
I got a good replica over the holidays that was given to me of a Siculo Punic style tetradrachm.
Of course.
Nice.
So from the Carthaginians on Sicily.
Ah.
So it's really nice. It's made out of pewter, but it looks like it's silver. Whatnot. So that's another way too for folks if we can't afford the actual ancient ones is to get find the people who make really good replicas, and you can get a replica. So,
yeah.
And then just save your money for the future and get a real one at some point. So,
yeah.
It works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a fan, like, some collectors, we talk about in the collecting world, like, would you ever buy a replica? I'm like, I do have some replicas.
Yeah.
Like, you get a really nice replica, and it looks fine in a collection. Like, no one's passing it off as the real thing.
Yeah.
But it helps fill a gap, or that's also the one you don't mind people handling and passing around and stuff like that either.
Yeah.
You know?
You can still teach them about the coin, even if it's not the real thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And they have a good place, I think, in any collection for those purposes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
So, that is many things that are good.
Yes, many things.
Other Chris, do you have anything you want to throw in?
Oh my god. I'm trying to remember if I talked about this manga, Komi Can't Communicate.
I think so.
No. I don't think you brought it up.
I think it has been brought up, at least mentioned.
So, anyway, go ahead. Even if it hasn't. Go ahead anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's a manga. It's about...
Komi.
Yes, it's about Komi. And Komi has, like, some kind of severe social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, can't speak to people.
Mm-hmm.
She, like, really wants to be friends with everybody and, like, participate in things, but she's completely unable to.
Right.
And basically it's about her and her classmate who's like hilariously named Tadano.
Yeah.
like just regular average guy, and his superpower is being able to read the room.
Yeah.
And so he's almost like telepathic in terms of like reading people's body language and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that stems from like some middle school trauma that he had.
Oh gosh.
He's like, I'm gonna do my absolute best not to like stand out and not to have people notice me and not to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, basically he's like become adept at learning like what the situation is and what the right and wrong thing to do in a situation is.
Right. Yeah.
And so because he's like this very observant person, like he's the only person that gets that Komi is actually having trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else thinks that she's just like above it all, and that's the reason she doesn't talk to anybody.
Right.
So, you know, she's like kind of snobby or something. And so like he kind of makes it his personal mission to help her make friends.
Right.
And
cool.
They have a cast of like colorful high school students with like different weird personality traits.
Right.
And it's about her process of like making friends with all of these people.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll throw in there, I fucking love Komi Can't Communicate.
Oh yeah?
I haven't read all of them yet, but like at least the first 20 or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can co-sign this recommendation.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good.
I always like it when she randomly has cat ears.
Yeah.
When she's excited about stuff.
There was one incredible joke in this like not too long ago in one of the chapters I was reading where they're talking about anxiety and like the type of anxious person that thinks about shit and then can't fall asleep. They're like, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And one of the things that she had in her like thinking about stuff and not being able to fall asleep because of some stupid mistake she made during the day. One of them was like, why do I have cat ears? Like, she's like remembering something that happened during the day, and she's drawn with cat ears, and then her internal monologue is, why do I have cat ears?
Yeah.
Nice.
So embarrassing.
Yeah. It is frequently very cute.
Yes.
Sounds like it.
I really liked when she accidentally calls Tadano on the phone And then has to roll around in her bed after.
Yeah.
Very cute. And the anime is pretty good too.
Yeah.
It plays up some of the ridiculous things a little more, but I thought it was pretty good. On Netflix.
I've not seen the anime, but I'm gonna check it out eventually.
Yeah. So the thing I was gonna mention is a comic I picked up when I was in St. Louis called "Are You Listening" by Tilly Walden.
Mm-hmm.
And I've mentioned another one of her books before on the podcast called "On a Sunbeam."
Mm-hmm.
Which was a little more sci-fi than this one. Like the idea here is like basically a runaway teen that is joining on this one lady's road trip to McKinney, Texas. Well, she's going past there, but going to someplace in Texas, and then it's just kind of like a road story of the two of them, where they have a road trip and talk to each other and find this random cat that seems to be lost, and they have to return her to West Texas. But it's kind of the classic exploration of the characters that way, and has kind of a magical realism quality. So while they are returning this cat and going on a road trip, they're approached by like weird ghost-like highwaymen who are very interested in picking up this cat. But it's really cool, and I don't know if I should say much more than that about it, but like she is really good at that kind of a story where it's like slowly exploring people's past traumas and putting it in a semi-realistic setting at least. So I'll probably write a little more about it and make a blog post, but I'm quickly becoming a big fan of hers.
Cool.
I also picked up one, not realizing what it was, called Clementine, just because it was by her, and found out it's like a standalone Walking Dead.
Oh, that Clementine.
About Clementine? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But kind of made sense why she did it, because it was a similar sort of like her on her own, like trying to find a new place to live. Road trip type of thing with some Amish kid in that one.
Okay.
It was also really good, but also got zombies and shit. So, But yes, Are You Listening was really good, and On a Sunbeam is really good too. So,
cool.
All right,
recommendations from me.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, Danielle's yelling at me because we got to go to meet my parents for lunch. So. I'm gonna hit stop.
All right.
Alrighty.
I guess you could still eat lunch there.
Okay, that was our session for today. Homework reminder, if you're gonna read along, and you should, is to read the Prelude and the first 3 chapters. So everything up until the fight. When you see that chapter heading, you can stop reading, at least if you want to be spoiler free for next time. But we won't hold it against you if you just keep going. Also, this is where we would usually do our on second thought section, but I'm going to co-opt it this time to say the following. Usually here on RTFB, we do try to include trigger warnings when the book we're reading goes into areas that we expect might be troubling for people. And just like we did with Dragon Tattoo, we could probably just issue a blanket warning here for, most of this book. This is probably not a spoiler that this book about slavery goes into some topics that are going to be tough. Concepts of violence against women, rape, justifying rape, selling humans, and treating them as less important than the furniture in your house, just to name a few. It's going to be tough, and Octavia Butler is going to go there maybe more quickly and casually than you would expect. So if you need to mentally prepare yourself, please be ready. And let me reassure you that the journey is worth it. Don't be ashamed if you need to do this in chunks to process the shit we're about to get into. But also, remember that despite the time travel aspect, this is the kind of thing that real, actual human beings really actually had to deal with. And it's exactly the kind of thing some people are trying to remove from history classrooms now. Because, I don't know, they don't want to have to process generational guilt because it hurts their fucking feelings. I don't know. So yeah, let me cut off a full-blown soapbox moment and just say, trauma doesn't get better. It doesn't go away if you just ignore it. And this book isn't just torture and misery. There's a lot of value, a lot of insight into human nature, and topics that are still just as applicable today. So again, I hope you read along with all the books we do, but this one especially so. Today's episode was already canceled by Hulu with thanks to Chris Ham, Chris Jacobson. It was edited by me, Travis Rowe, and was sponsored by no one in particular. Until next time, keep fucking reading. I've noticed something recently. Personal insight that because I don't drive places anymore, really, I've transferred my road rage onto the people that live in my house.
Okay.
Like, fucker. Like, I'm walking through the kitchen. Get out of my way. Like, I was gonna walk through here.
You should not do that to the people in your house.
How dare you go where I was gonna go when you had no idea I was gonna go there, asshole? Like, use your turn signal.
I think maybe you need to start small driving daily just to get that out.
Who are oblivious to that kind of thing anyway, but
yeah,
it's it annoys me more than it should. It's an irrational anger I've got.
Yeah, just take a break at like 5 and go drive on the highway, man. Get it all out.
Yeah, there you go.
Be angry at the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
Assholes in cars.
Yeah.
No, you should take your kids out to do bumper cars. That's what you should do.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And
smack right into them.
Yeah, just fuck them up.
And then they can get mad at you and smack into you too. So
right. That seems more healthy.
Teach them the right way.
It seems way more healthy.
Yeah.
Yep.